Hello and welcome to the Legendary Backlog. We're glad you're here. In our show, we cover what we've been playing over the last week and a game over 5 years old in our 5-year Beyond segment. This is episode 10 and we're covering Ghost of Tsushima. I am Brian and you can find me at TryWinBrian on X. You can follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at the Legendary Backlog. And on X, you can find us at the Legend Backlog. If you listen to the show and you like it, please follow us on Patreon at the Legendary Backlog. It's free and it'll give you access to all our sites. We're trying to build a community of people who love games. My partner is also Brian. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Brian, and you can reach me at Nostalgic Pixel on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as nostalgicpixel.com, and I'll be streaming on Twitch at Nostalgic Pixel TV. Hey, Brian, what have you been playing this week?
What I've been playing this week is I've been playing NBA 2K 2025. They gave that to us for free on the PSN, and I always check it out at the end of the year. You know, like I don't have the time to devote like all the time that a sports game requires of you to basically master nowadays. It's almost like the live service game of itself, or it is. You know, I did play around with it, and I went through all the tutorials, everything, started playing, got pretty decent at it, and I enjoy it. It to me is pretty much the same thing as last year. They just tweaked a couple things, but I do have it on the Switch. I played a little bit on the Switch since I was playing it this week, and I have to say the Switch version, even though it kind of looks like a PS3 game, it holds up. The animations and everything are solid. It's a pretty solid on the go rendition of it. Have you ever played the NBA 2K series?
A little bit, but I'm not much of a sports fan. If it's not like NBA Jam.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not that big of a sports fan either, but I like to just kind of see what's going on. You know, I am in real life, I'm a real big sports fan, but as far as the games go, I just feel like anytime I've played a sports game seriously, I had like no other time for any other games. It was just that game. I've done it a couple times with Madden and I've done it with the show. I have never really done that with NBA 2K. But anyways, I have to say that NBA is a fun game, and just the way that you move the analog sticks and you control is really a testament to like how a game feel like you're doing something on the screen. Those controls are just mastered perfectly. They really take the game over the top. Is the controls to me, and the animation, the graphics are all nice, everything, but it's the controls that makes that game completely fun. Like what I'm talking about is like you use the analog sticks. Like if you're gonna shoot, you like pull it down on the right side, and then flip it up, and then you have to do it at this certain timing for it to be good. But truthfully, I noticed more this year that it's more like if your guy's open, you're probably gonna make the shot, even if you're early or late. But if your guy's not open, you gotta like almost hit it like perfect for you to get the basket. So that was the change I saw this year. With the announcement of Neo 3, I went ahead and started playing Neo 1 again. I still enjoy it, but I don't think I'm gonna go back and finish it or anything. But I did give the Neo 3 demo a lot of play over the last week. And basically, I beat like the first two bosses or mini bosses, whatever. One's a boss and then one's a mini boss. And I'm really enjoying that game. It's beautiful graphics. It really sings like a PlayStation 5 game. I just think it's amazing looking. The combat is great. I really don't like the ninja style that they introduced, to be honest with you. So there's two styles. There's samurai and there's ninja. And in samurai mode, you basically fight. It's almost like a Dark Souls game or something like that. Like it's kind of like slow, deliberate combat. Like you're not going to sit there and be swinging real fast.
Yeah, it's not like a Devil May Cry.
Yeah, exactly. And, stamina is a really big thing in this game because you run out of stamina. You basically just sit there and like you can't do nothing, if you deplete everything. I've been playing the Samurai class, which is more like the Dark Souls, but they have this new class called Ninja, which moves real fast and deals like a ton of strikes, but it barely takes off any damage, Like, you can sit there and, like, knock the crap out of somebody in that ninja style, and then when you back up, it's just like, it's almost like you barely hit them at all. So I really prefer to do the massive damage. I've always been that way. Like, I'm more of, like, a offensive person when it comes to FromSoft games and things like that. So, just like in Bloodborne, I did the two-handed axe. I'm doing the two-handed samurai sword. So I got long range, and I deal a lot of damage. That's the way I'm going through it. I just really like the level design and I really like the combat. I think they're onto something here with Neo 3. It seems to be much improved from Neo 1. I didn't play Neo 2, but Neo 3 seems to be way more of a solid game than Neo 1 was for me as far as like the combat. You know, it's real satisfying. It seems fair. I mean,
like a lot of games we've seen, it's not like the first one's really good and the second one is just a more polished, better version of it. And then now that we're at the third one, you're feeling like all the polish of what they did in 2 and what they're bringing to 3. So that's, you know, not unusual that a sequel could be even better in ways of just improving things and making things even more polished.
yeah, it's the evolution of the game series that's getting really polished and everything. But the level designs are like, see, to me, the level designs in Neo kind of felt like hallway-ish. Like there were some open areas, but a lot of it felt hallway-ish.
Mm-hmm.
This is more designed like a Dark Souls game where like there's a whole map and like everything kind of ties together and there's multiple ways to go. And if you take this path, you're gonna run into this guy. You're gonna have to fight and get past. If you take another path, you're gonna have to run to another guy. You're gonna have to fight to pass. You know, as far as like a big baddie.
Sounds like a lengthy demo.
Yeah, it's a really lengthy demo, and it's no joke either. I mean, like I'm dying left and right in that game, but it's still fun. I'm still making progress. The one thing that's noticeable to me about Neo 3 is it's hard to level up. Like they call it Arnima or something like that, but basically they're souls that you need to level up. So you need to get so many to level up like a stat. I mean, I'm sitting there around like a level 13 and I'm like passing all this stuff where like I'm seeing like people that are like level 21 and level 19 asking for help, right? Because you can ask for help online and like a little blue thing will show up on your game and you can help them out. I don't know how they got all those levels because it's like, to me, I mean, I've been taking out like pretty much every enemy, going around exploring the whole map, and like where I'm at, I mean, they had to sit there and farm, and that's what I don't like about the Souls games or FromSoft games or whatever you want to call them, is I don't like the fact that you have to sit there and farm to level up to get past stuff. You know, I like try to just play the game at the pace it is and just, you know, sometimes I'll level up a little bit, but not much.
But I mean, even in RPGs, you do a lot of grinding. I'm surprised you're not used to that.
The secret is you got to find a good spot, right? Like I haven't found a good spot in the demo is basically what I'm saying. I have no idea how they're farming all these souls, but they are doing it. But yeah, as far as the number of people playing the demo, as far as what I see, like as people asking for help or people that just died that you can fight and get some of their gear. Yeah, there's like a ton of people are playing it right now, so it's super popular, I would say. It's a really good demo.
Yeah, the fact that you'd even think about grinding in a demo just leads me again to believe that is a really in-depth demo.
Oh yeah, this is like this is not like the demos of back in the day. This is like it's pretty lengthy. And the thing is that all this is going to be lost. I think. I don't think our progress is going to continue whenever like the game comes out or anything. So I mean, the fact that
I'd plan on everything you're doing is just in this demo and is not going to carry over. That doesn't ever really happen.
Right, but it speaks to the quality of the game that people are doing that for a demo, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when people go heavy in a beta and they know that all their stuff in the beta is just going to get, you know, it doesn't matter when the actual game goes live.
Exactly, just like that. So that's a testament to how good the game is. But this demo isn't even going to stay out forever. Like whenever you launch it, it says, "Hey, this is going to be taken down eventually."
Oh wow, one of those demos.
Yeah, so that's why I've been playing it so much recently, is because I want to enjoy it while it's here. And you can tell they're going to tweak some things. I think they're going to tweak some of the ninja stuff and make that more plausible as in a form of attack. It's a real good game. I enjoy it. If you haven't tried the Neo 3 demo and you're into those type of games, I would definitely give it a try. The last game I played was Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. I went ahead and gave that a shot just to see what it was like, see if I could go back to those days, because this one is barely remastered, right? It's like pretty much the same game except for like just upscaled, you know, full motion videos, and the character polygons have been redone. And they're not even redone to where they look great. They just kind of like are more clear and less pixelated, but they still match the game. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I played that, and to be honest with you, I can't go. I mean, I used to think that those days of SquareSoft on the PS1 were like the cream of the crop days for RPGs. But man, as far as Final Fantasy VIII, I just can't go back to it, man. It's really boring. I kind of see why our JRPGs have or RPGs in general have gone the way they are as far as action, because yeah, just sitting there, just you just talk. The amount of people and story you have to go through to get to anything is just, and it's like it's not narrated or spoken anymore. Like I basically become so accustomed to new RPGs, it's hard to go back. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I still plan on playing it a little bit more, see if I can get into it. But
What'd you say you're playing it on again? The Switch?
PlayStation 5, I'm playing that on PlayStation.
Oh, the PlayStation. I think we were talking a minute ago, like how it's got a lot of, because it's like an emulated game, it's got a lot of like a few quality of life improvements to revisit it today, even though, like you said, the pacing is very slow and methodical, unlike current RPGs.
Yeah, the good thing is that basically they know that you don't have time in your life to go. This is my opinion. They know that we don't have time in our life to go back and like sit there and play this game like fully, like give it 50, 60 hours, whatever it deserves. So that you can speed it up times three, so the game can actually be like 3 times faster during battles. And then on top of that, you can always have like your limit gauge, and you can always basically have full health and everything if you need to get past the hard part or something like that. Those things, they do turn off trophies though. Just to warn everybody, they do turn off trophies if you do that. Brian, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I've been playing a few things here and there. Like let's start off with I was had my PlayStation 5 hooked up because we were playing Ghost of Tsushima. So I was playing around with some other games on there. With my Castlevania collection, I was playing the Castlevania Bloodlines, the Genesis entry into the Castlevania series, just to play around. You and I were talking about it, and you mentioned like you hadn't played it, and so I was like, oh, I kind of want to go jump in a little bit and do that again. So I played it some, and got my password, and then like took a break from that, and then jumped into some other PlayStation games. I played an old PSP game that got re-released, and it's on now. I'm playing on the PS5. Loco Roco Midnight Carnival. There's Loco Roco 1, Loco Roco 2, and Midnight Carnival is kind of 3-ish without being called 3. And it's just kind of Loco Roco is a very Japanese game, and it's fun. It's very simple controls. If you got to remember, the series started on the PSP, and they really haven't done much since then besides re-release them. Anyway, you play like this small little ball that you can bounce around that talks and sings, and if you collect other things and make it get larger and larger, and then when it gets big, you can break them up into small little Loco Rocos. But basically, it's kind of like a puzzle game, but with just like tilting the world left and right to kind of manipulate your character and to get around. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's very relaxing, more or less, for me. It's kind of a calming game. Just because I wanted to check it out again. Like I checked out the streaming on the PlayStation 5 with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Remix. So this is the remix that we got on the PlayStation 3, and then there is a Switch version that came out at like around launch for the Switch that has Evil Ryu, and I haven't played that one. So, but anyway, I was just playing around with this one, and I would say this is like the Street Fighter the movie, the game like level kind of deal. Was when they first announced this game, they were showing off like how they were gonna HD, get the Street Fighter 2 and HDify it by like carefully scaling it up to where it looked amazing. And then they realized that's going to take too much work. What if we do it with pay someone a lot less and do a lot cheaper? And then that's what they did. And so it looks fine. It has its own art style, and what I'm kind of saying, and hasn't aged that terribly. The art style, it looks whatever, but the game is all there, and it's fun. It was just kind of messing around. Like I said, it's kind of like a horse of a different color. Just another way of looking at the same game that you've already seen so many times.
I actually played the Switch version, and I actually thought it was pretty decently done on the Switch. You're talking about the one where it's like is Street Fighter 2, and it's like redrawn. And
They redrew everything and it's HD, and they call it like HD Remix. Yep.
yeah, I played that on the Switch. I played the Switch version, and it's actually pretty decent. I did like Evil Ryu. It's pretty fun.
Oh yeah, all the controls and everything is great. It's just the art style is a little bit off, but it's not bad.
I can't wait till AI can just upscale all those old games, all those old 2D fighters.
So you played on the Switch? So did you check out Evil Ryu? Was like a new character they added?
Yeah, he was pretty neat. I enjoyed him. It was pretty neat. He's a little overpowered, so it's kind of like you feel kind of guilty playing him. Yeah. I wish the game was not like every time I see it, it's like $40 or something or higher.
Oh really?
I wish the game was just reasonably priced for something we've already bought over and over and over again.
Yeah, it came out 8 years ago on the Switch. You'd hope it would be cheaper, but in that case, maybe it's been too long and it's already gone up. But well, that's cool. I'm glad you got to play that version. Like I said, I was just playing it on the PlayStation 5 through like their streaming of the PlayStation 3. The streaming service seemed pretty smooth, and it never felt like a noticeable lag or delay in playing it. And Street Fighter seems like a really good way to test out a streaming game for lag. And it seemed to be fine. I didn't notice any kind of issues. I think you'd have to tell someone you're streaming the game for them to even notice it's so seamless the way they had it set up. But what I was saying with all the Switch 2 news going out and people posting stuff about their Switch 2s and Mario Kart World, it had me itching to play more Mario Kart, so I went back and played more Mario Kart 8. I noticed I really haven't spent much time in the mirror worlds, so I was going around trying to collect the cups in the mirror world, which was fun. I did that for about a few different circuits. Then I also this week I got a Bluetooth controller adapter receiver for my Sega Saturn, which then allows me to use my 8BitDo arcade stick, which is arcade stick I think I've talked about that I have. It's fun. It's my first like wireless one. And so even though I have an arcade stick for my Saturn, it's a virtual stick. It's pretty old in that like the stick itself is kind of stiff. So while it's very authentic and arcade experience, it's not the best stick for arcade these days. So it was a very nice change to be able to play the games on my Saturn with the arcade stick. And I mentioned earlier that like with my Sadiator, I set it up to where previously I was having problems because the Saturn only has so much internal memory. Every time I'd boot up a game, it'd always tell me you can't save because you don't have any room to save the game. So everything you're going to do is just going to be forgotten. So it was just, obviously I wasn't going to jump into a game that required saves. So I was playing just mostly arcade beat 'em ups and shooters and stuff, which is what I like. But now that I have my menu set up where it'll create a individual game save on the SD card for every game I play, it's just kind of opened it up. And then with the wireless receiver that I have allowing me to use my arcade stick, it's been a lot of fun because as much as I like shooters, if it's one of those shooters where I have to press, how fast I shoot depends on how fast I press this fire button, I wear out pretty quick on that. I can probably get a few levels in and then I want to take a break because my hands are tired. So it's nice with the arcade stick. I have turbos that I can set. So for those games now, I can enjoy playing those longer periods of time without like tiring out. One of the games I played all the way through the end and beat was on the Saturn. It was something Pretty Fighter X, because the something's in Japanese. I know I'm going to mess that up, but anyway, it was fun. It was just like an anime, pretty decent anime fighting game, and it wasn't like overly crazy on the anime. I had a lot of fun because I was playing this. The girl I picked to play is a waitress, and I thought it was so funny because the entire time you're fighting with her, she's holding a tray with a glass and not spilling it or anything or knocking it over in one hand. So you're basically fighting the whole time with one hand and both your feet while you're balancing this tray. I just thought that was fun. At first, I wasn't sure that was the character I wanted, but then I noticed I started getting really comfortable with their moves and ended up beating the whole game with them. So that was a lot of fun. And then again, like some of the shooters I was telling you I was playing, I was on the Saturn, I bounced around and I played more Thunder Force 4, which on the Saturn, it's just a spaceship, a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. But again, I had so much fun playing it with an arcade stick and the turbo.
That's really neat that you got that ability. Have it like you can play anything on your Saturn now. That's pretty nice. Because you're using your arcade, but you can also use like your PS5 controller and things like that, right?
Oh yeah, with this receiver, if I wanted to use a controller pad or anything, I could make it work with my Switch controller, my PlayStation controller, Xbox controller, like PlayStation 4 or 5 controller I can pair up with it. It's pretty cool how it can do all that. In particular, had like the arcade wireless arcade stick I wanted to pair up with it just to play some of, like I was saying, some of the arcade games with some turbo switches and also the fighting games. The only thing I am having issue with right now with that setup is that if I want to play, say, a really fun game, which is X-Men versus Street Fighter, that uses the expansion cartridge, I'm having trouble getting the expansion cartridge and using that particular menu at the same time. That there's things that I've read about flashing memory, my RAM card. I'm not into that just yet. So if I really want to play those, it's not too hard. I just have to take the SD card out and rename a file and put it back in, and it'll reload like the original menu that doesn't have the individual game saves, unfortunately. I'm not in a rush to do that. Plus, if I want to play X-Men versus Street Fighter these days with the Capcom collection, I can just play it on there. So I'd do that more or less.
I was playing the Capcom Fighting Collection a little bit this week. I didn't put it on the list, but I'm still going back to that. I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 this week, though. Not X-Men vs. Street Fighter.
Oh yeah? Oh good. I've been itching to play the X-Men SNK collection, but I'm gonna wait a little bit longer for that.
That one's I have to have for me too as well. Alright, Brian, let's go ahead and get into our 5-year beyond segment. We're covering Ghost of Tsushima. Released in 2020 on the PlayStation 4, is an action-adventure game developed by Sucker Punch Productions that takes place in feudal Japan. It was also released on the PlayStation 5, so subtitled Director's Cut and featuring Iki Island expansion was released in August 2021. What was your kind of like high-level views of playing Ghost of Tsushima?
Well, my high-level views? I would just say views overall, it's a very beautiful game. The gameplay, the combat is extremely well thought out, very detailed and dense. It seems like everyone has ideas of what they consider their perfect loadout and different ways of playing the game. No one's necessarily wrong on it, which is fun because it just leaves you a lot of room to explore and play around with, find out what works best for you, how you like to deal with situations, because there's never just one way to do anything in that game. There's always different ways and methods of trying to sort out your how you're going to deal with combat and everything. It's a beautiful game, and from what it's telling a really interesting story. And from what I remember hearing, is the people of Tsushima are very proud of this game and that how it represented them. So going in knowing that.
Yeah, they actually gave Sucker Punch an award for actually being so true to what feudal Japan was and the samurai and all that. So it is really accuracy. And as far as the beautiful world, I mean, this is like one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 4 by far, and it looks great on the PlayStation 5. The world and the levels in which they created are just gorgeous. From the tall grass to the mountains to the snow, it's just a beautiful.
Yeah, and coming off of Breath of the Wild recently, a lot of times I've been playing it like a Breath of the Wild game. Going around, opening new areas, exploring, doing different things, and just playing around. Unfortunately, it doesn't have quite the same physics engine, so I can't just scale every wall that I see, but pretty much there's always usually a route somewhere. It's just, more specific on that. The physics itself are nice, but I would say it's somewhere in between. It's not quite the same level of physics in Breath of the Wild, but it's somewhere around Horizon Zero Dawn physics in the world. A little more than that.
Yeah, it's more like a traditional open world game. It's more like they give you tools, stats, and talents and things like that, instead of letting you just like the physics engine in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is like super unique. Not many games have that kind of physics to them. One of the things coming off of Breath of the Wild, though, is that it really drove me crazy. You could not cut the grass. I don't know why. I didn't expect to cut all grass, but when you're in the really tall fields that come up to your waist, it'd be nice if you took a swing and the grass came up. That would have been really nice. This is a small one.
I'm afraid if it did that, I'd be mowing the whole lawn of everything. So if it's
I know. What if it drops supplies?
I know, that's right. If if you cut grass and things showed up, I'd be like, oh, I'm in trouble. Like I already do it a lot in Zelda, but and this would just be so much work. But and it doesn't do that, which isn't too bad. But if it did, I would be all over it. And same what I was saying earlier about like if this game had a cooking mini game, I'd be all over that feature of it too. Ever since like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then any other games it's picked up, like Bloodstained has a cooking side game. They picked that up largely because they played Breath of the Wild and they thought, wow, the cooking's really fun. We should put cooking in our game. And so
There's not cooking in Ghost of Tsushima. There is a lot of other things like making, like upgrading your equipment and things like that. We should probably talk about the protagonist. The player controls Jin Saki, a samurai on a quest to protect Tsushima Island during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. The game features a large open world which can be explored either on foot or horseback. That's a good point. We should talk about the horse. The horse is great in this game. I just think it's amazing. Out of all the game,
oh yeah, no, it's the way you want a horse in a game because it for me at least because like as nice as it was to have it in Breath of the Wild, I was talking to you as I was playing this. Is like this takes all the stress and all the worry and just and gives you all the joy of riding around on a horse. You don't have to worry about putting it in a stable. You don't have to worry about leaving it anywhere. All you have to do anytime you want a horse, you just press the one button on the D-pad and boom, out of nowhere, your horse arrives. You get on your horse, you ride it. You don't have to worry about steering it in between around trees. It's a horse. It's like they said in Zelda, but even more so. It's a horse. It'll know not to run into a tree, and it's so true in this game because there's some dense forest and stuff that you can just easily just fly right through. Riding around the horse is so much fun. Just like I said, it takes all the any trouble or dealing with it out and just gives you all the joy of riding around on one.
yeah, this is my favorite game to ride a horse, to be honest with you, for several reasons. The first one is this is my favorite part about the horse is you can sit there and be running full speed, call your horse, and it'll just come right beside you and you can hop on. It's not like you have to stop, go turn around, because a lot of games like the horse will appear behind you or something. You have to stop what you're doing, go and mount your horse. This you can just in one smooth action jump on it. I think that's great. The other thing is like you were saying about it running through the trees and not hitting anything.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled that off so seamlessly. It doesn't feel like you lost control of your character. It feels like you have 100% control of your character. You're just not hitting trees on the horse, which makes it great.
Yeah, it's not like you're on autopilot or anything. You can't control it. You can control it, like you said, but you don't feel like you have to do all the micromanaging between the tiny trees.
So what did you think of Jin Saki as the protagonist playing him? What did you think about that character?
Well, I mean, he's definitely an interesting character, and he's got an interesting story. He's his uncle, his dad died a long time ago, which they brought that up at one point, and they were like, "Do you want to go dig into your dad or your uncle?" And I'm like, "My dad died a long time ago, and that's kind of done. Let's go talk about my uncle because my uncle is the one who trained me and everything." And so it's really nice. Like I was telling you earlier, Jin Sake puts himself in a situation where he's gonna have to adapt and adjust and not be so rigid as a samurai, but learn different ways of other things to survive and like conquer. So he learned that are not necessarily skills that a samurai would employ. So the assassinate feature is really fun, but at first, I was like worried they were going to scold me, and then I was going to change the storyline or whatever. Like if they're thinking this game might have some sort of light side, dark side ending to where if I play it a certain way, I'll get like the evil ending, and like hey, I saved everybody, but I've at what cost? But that doesn't seem to be the problem at all. So I've just really enjoyed like using all the skills that they teach you, and as you learn different abilities of doing different handling things differently. So I've enjoyed that because when it comes to a lot of these games too, I'm like the guy who's like, hey, you know what? If I can sneak around and thin out this group by like 3 or 4 guys before I go jumping in, that's the way I'm going to handle it. I'm going to kill every guy as stealthy or as quiet, as simple as I can before I have to go deal with the mob. If I can knock them off one at a time, that's the way I'm going to go about it.
Yeah, I like how you can choose to take people out stealthily. The stealth game I actually really enjoyed because, like Metal Gear Solid 5 is one of my favorite games, and the Metal Gear series is one of my favorites. So I really enjoyed when, stealthing out a couple people, maybe 4, 5, 6. Sometimes you can do the whole area.
Yeah, and same with like Last of Us, where if you had to sneak around or the clickers would find you. So I just, yeah, sneaking around with Metal Gear, and that is I enjoy that kind of gameplay. I know some people who actually they want to like Metal Gear Solid, but they hate the sneaking and they just want to go around and shoot everything. I'm like, you're missing the point. But yeah,
It's either you like it or you don't, right? But the thing about this is you can approach it very, straight on too, with a standoff, or, a standoff is where, you basically hold the triangle button until the enemy actually moves and comes towards you, and then you basically slash them. And it's like a standoff between you and one person, and then you can do several other after that once you level up and things like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the standoff is another thing that's fun. So, like I said, you can stealth around and try to thin them out, or sometimes you can just kind of walk in, announce yourself, and have a standoff. And one of the fun parts about the standoff is that it'll fill up your resolve meter, and that's probably something we probably want to get into, like how the gameplay kind of functions, where you have a health meter and you have a resolve meter, and you can spend those resolve to renew your health, and then you can also spend the resolve to perform certain special attacks. So you're kind of balancing that out, and you gain resolve by how well you're playing or whatever. If you combo things and stuff, it rewards you by giving refilling your resolve.
So it's the system that kind of feeds off of each other, right? Because resolve, you basically build up by doing combat, and then you have to use it to heal yourself or to do special moves. So it's kind of like it's a system that kind of keeps going around in a circle. And you have to manage it during battle. What I really enjoy about the combat system, though, is there's really no way that you could just hack and slash your way through this. You have to think, you have to change stances. There's 4 major stances, and each stance is good against a certain type of enemy. I think you get the sword, the one that's good against swords first, and then you get the one that's for shields second, and you get the one that's for spears third.
One for the big brutes.
The big brutes is the 4th one you get, yeah. You just don't go into a whole group and just start slashing around, it's not going to work. You're going to die real quick. You have to be careful. Yeah. You have to guard, you have to parry, you have to roll. It's a really neat combat system. I really like it. I would say it's a simplified, like, soul system, almost like that. It's just the enemies just don't take off like half your life every time they hit you,
Yeah, and it's also a game that your character is gaining more strength and more power and more abilities over and over time, to where like the way you're playing it now in the beginning can be drastically different later on when you're all powered up, and you can kind of jump in there with a smoke bomb, assassinate 3 people, and just go to town, and then do like a spin attack that kills like everybody. So the way you play it in the beginning is definitely around your abilities, and by the time near the end of the game, you're like just this overpowered beast that can kind of just run in and just wreck the place if you want to, which is fun, because I enjoy those types of games where towards the end you feel so powerful that you feel like you can take on anything. But then of course a lot of those games are really good at throwing, here's a new challenge that you probably never could have taken at the beginning, but now you can.
You definitely feel the level ups. I remember playing through the first time. One of the things I noticed the most that we level up is when you upgrade your sword. I think there's like 4 or 5 different upgrades you get for it, but every time you do, you feel the damage.
Oh yeah, definitely. When you upgrade that sword, you totally feel the damage. What usually took a few swings is now like even like half that or less. Sometimes they're just like a strong attack that used to be strong is now just a dead attack.
And the other thing is that you can choose how you want to go, because you can go really armor and really battle it out, or you can go, like you were saying, you can do tricks and gimmicks to get by in battle, or you could be lean and slender. The one thing I kind of wish is that you could choose what you look like without having the stats, but every piece of like chest armor has a stats on it that basically choose how you're going to play. So that's one thing to note out. Like the helmets and the face that you choose and your sword really don't do much as far as stats, but your chest piece does.
You have those charms that you assign to them as well to add more things.
Oh, those charms make you like super
Mhm.
overpowered.
That's to your weapon, though, right?
Those charms are, yeah, you get charms by doing things like climbing up into these temples that have been burned down by the mongrels. So you got to find your way like climbing around the mountain and everything. Some of them are actually pretty long. But yeah, you basically get those. You get charms, and you get charms for other things, helping out, doing quests. But those charms really start to add up. Like what they'll do is they'll give you like plus 15% resolve gain, or I've gotten one that'll raise you with half your resolve filled. You know, there's all different kinds of types. It is up to you to kind of pick the gear that you want, the talents you want, and the charms you want, and that ultimately determines your play style. So you can be really stealthy. You could be dependent upon healing a lot. You can be dependent upon dealing tons of damage from afar. There's a lot of things you can do. So it's a really neat game, and the combat's just great.
Yeah, and the way it has it is like the map when you're looking at the map and they throw you in the game, like you kind of feels like you go straight to like the act objective, but in the meantime, there's all these other things you can do if you want, like recruit others to help join your fight, or some of those are story based, but then there's also like we're talking about the upgrade trees and things. And one thing that's really nice about this is there's a lot of cool different features and things that you can get with your upgrade trees, but the it has you excited because you can see exactly what they are. That's nothing's hidden. You can kind of see all the way down. If you put points in this, what does it look like at the end? What is the final thing? Kind of shows you everything, so you kind of have an idea what you want to work for, and you get really excited about unlocking those, so that you want to like go off and hit every side story or event to like gain up those skill points. So like it has you like encourages you like to go out and like beef up your character and get those abilities just by just doing all these side quests and everything. Or like you said, some of these different missions that you can go on to choose, it's not that you're going to get just like technical points and legend status, but like it'll teach you a new move that you could only get there, or it'll reward you with a charm, and that's the only way you get the charm, and that's the charm you want. So like you really go out and seek to do all these extra things. Like even though some of them might be side quests, the way you play, it doesn't necessarily, you don't feel like it's necessarily a side quest. You're just developing your character. With Sucker Punch being that they've made Infamous and stuff, and having played Infamous Second Son and Infamous 2, 2, you can definitely see that this is the developer that did it by just the way the game is. And that's a good thing because they those were very successful games and they're fun to play. Now all that carried over really well here.
Yeah, and if you remember the Infamous combat, it was very much like you couldn't just like use one power like to just you had to change it up, use different powers, run around.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like you can see their DNA in this game because when you have to use different tools, like you were talking about smoke bombs, and there's these needles that poison people, and you have your arrows and different stances. So yeah, you have to use a little bit of everything because you're never just gonna run across like four guys in a shield. There's gonna be a guy in a shield, a guy with a sword. There's gonna be an archer, and maybe a big brute or a spear person, right? They're really mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah, those archers. Yeah. What I've come to do with the archers is I like to take those guys out fast and early because they just take free shots on me and mess up my combos with the other guys. So either I'm hitting them with arrows from a distance or whatever, or I'm going in, or I'm charging them and taking them out. But like they're just some encounters. It's like I need to kill these two archers first, and then I'll deal with the rest of the guys.
For me, I usually do them last unless during combat I come close to them. Because they do give an audible like sound right before they're about to shoot. So do know that they're going? But the problem.
Yeah, and you can go into the accessibility features and turn on a more visual alert so that you can see that even if they're on screen. I did that, which was really nice. So like if there's a lot of combat, you're not hearing them, but you can definitely see a little icon pop up on the screen to know they're about to shoot. But for me, like I said, I just I don't have to if there's a guy I'm not trying to keep off someone else or prevent other people from doing certain things. I'll just charge the archers right off the bat and kill them, and then deal with the rest. But yeah.
I like how you have the choice to tackle however you want to. I think that's pretty. I think that's really good. The game was a success. It sold over 13 million units by September 2024. It's a really popular game for a single player game, especially the first title in the series. There's a sequel coming out, Ghost of Yotai, which I'm very interested in. I can't believe what a Ghost of Tsushima like type game would look like from the ground up, on the PS5.
Oh yeah, to have it be a PS5 original. Plus, like we talked about, there's it's gonna pick up a few new tricks here and there. Like one thing that's not in this game, and that's fine. But you know how I was saying, I was comparing it to Breath of the Wild. At least from my understanding, is I can't really jump off a cliff and sail into the sky, across the land like you would in like Zelda. That's okay. And I know other games you mentioned that are similar to this genre have added that. So, and I think you mentioned.
Yeah, the Rise of the Ronin added the glider. That's the other like feudal Japan one that had the glider, like kind of like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. That would be a neat feature in this game because one of the things I don't like is when you get really high up, and the way down is like super complex. Like there was a lot of places. Like, because I already beat the game, and when I went back, I just continued where I left off. So I was trying to get to these really obscure places. And, like sometimes you would finally get there, and the best way to leave is to fast travel. But I wish there was a glider that you could just kind of glide down instead of having to go back this whole way. So that would be something I'd really like to see added to this game, for sure. What I'd like to see the sequel do is develop more on the stances. I'd like to see maybe have trees for the stances, like they do now, but like more detailed and more like a lot more, I guess you would say, talent trees that are like more tougher, like you don't get everything. I'd like to see that in the next game where you actually have to build your character.
I was gonna say, well, also just parts of the game too we didn't talk about. It's like just like to unlock different things. Like there's these foxholes that you come across where in that area where you find like a fox that you follow to a shrine that then gives you a different like type of upgrade, and those are always fun to discover.
Yeah, fox dens. Fox dens are good. There's these healing pools where you basically sit in a hot spring, and if you do so many of those, you gain life. If you do so many of the fox dens, you gain resolve. If you do so many of the shrines we talked about earlier, you get charms and things like that. So
The hot springs increases your health, and then there's also that one where you have to do the bamboo mini game and stuff.
yes,
Where you have to cut through and there's also an accessibility feature that you can add to simplify that mini game. And I forget what is it. Do you get more resolve for doing that as well?
I can't remember what you get from the bamboo challenges because I did those a long time ago, but I do remember that I did not know about the accessibility feature, so I sat there for like 5 minutes on some of them before I got them. That was really annoying.
Yeah, they get extremely long. And the mini game is you press a series of buttons in order in an extremely fast sequence, and it just goes from a fewer number of buttons to a lot more by the time it's over.
Yeah, at first they show you like 3 buttons, and then you do that, and then they show you like 5 buttons, and you do that. Then they show you like 7 buttons, and you got to do that.
Yeah,
And then once you do that, you'll unlock that bamboo strike.
yeah. I ran across my first one. I was just in a village. I didn't even realize it until later on. I was like, oh, you do. This is in more than one place to do this type of mini game.
The story's really good, and the story leads to some great duels. I mean, there's some beautiful duels. I'm talking like one of my favorite ones is like where there's these yellow flowers or leaves are just flowing all over the place, and there's another one where like these red flowers are just flowing all over the place. And not to spoil the story or anything, but yeah, there's some amazing duels that happen in the game that are really fun.
Yeah, and I know. I remember in the beginning, I was talking to you. I was worried I may have made a mistake, and then the game kept going and going. I was like, "No, I did the right thing." I thought I dodged, but then the way it was going is like, I guess maybe I didn't dodge. But whatever. There were points, like I said, I thought I made a mistake, but then it turns out I didn't make a mistake. This is the game unfolding in front of me, and I'm just playing in it. So I felt good that I didn't have to like. I was getting worried that I'd have to go back and replay the game, and it doesn't ever do that to you. It doesn't put you in a situation where if you didn't make a right decision right then and there, then the rest of the game is just a real problem for you. So it gives you lots of room to make your own mistakes without having to feel like you have to reboot the game.
Right. And the story is pretty decent. I don't want to go into it too much, but it's basically like a revenge story. Something happens to Jin Saki and his army at the beginning of the game. He basically becomes a lone warrior, goes out to, basically become kind of like a samurai slash a little bit of dark ninja, to basically free Ghost of Tsushima. And he eventually gets some allies and things like that through the story, and they eventually end up taking down the big bad guy. But
Yeah, some of those assassination moves are very much like Assassin's Creed, where like I jump off a cliff just to like dag the katana right into the guy's back.
oh yeah. Oh, another thing we didn't mention is the lighthouses. Yeah, there's like 16 or something lighthouses to light, or 18 or something like that. But you have to find those and use there. A lot of times they're protected by bad guys, so you got to take those out, and then you go up there, you light it, and you get credit for it. So that's real fun there. I love the way the map opens up. I know we talked about exploring the open world, and it really the world rewards you for exploring it, like we were saying, because you'll find a fox den, you'll find a healing pool, you'll find a shrine, or you'll find a new place you can fast travel.
You'll find a gang of guys, and if you take out the leader, it improves your stats. And and at the same time, if you observe the leader and then kill him, you'll get even more stats. So like or it'll unlock a new fast travel location. So you want to hit those places just because. For me, like I don't have a problem with fast traveling a lot in this game, but I also spend plenty of time exploring on foot. But like you mentioned, as we talked about, is like the horse riding is so enjoyable and so simple and so carefree that I do enjoy like riding around on the horse. But I definitely enjoy like unlocking fast travel. But I'll get on a horse anytime I'm walking around, go to a new place, because and it has that unlock feature. Like you want to unlock the whole map, you want to hit all the little places.
Yeah, and I love how when you fast travel on your horse, you're already on your horse. I love that.
That's so nice. Yeah, it saves you so much time.
That's something that every game with fast travel should have.
Yeah, if you start fast travel on a horse, you arrive on a horse.
So what are your kind of final thoughts about Ghost of Tsushima?
Well, I mean, it's Sucker Punch. They've pretty much had a really good track record, and they're continuing. And this game is, again, it's so easy on the eyes. Like I was playing it on like frame rate mode, and I know it's on the PlayStation 5 and all that, but and so all the combat was really smooth, and I wanted the frame rate to be really smooth, because these split decision combat situations it's not good if the frame rate starts skipping around because there's 4 guys on screen. That's not the case. But also, even though I was in frame rate mode, I never felt like, and I switched it a few times to performance or graphics mode, and I really couldn't tell a difference on the PS5 when I was in performance mode, so I just kept it in performance. But beautiful game, a lot of fun, and there's enough breadcrumbs out there that get you, like, you see all your talent trees and where you could put points in. Like, okay, so I need to get this point and that, I need to get like 4 points or whatever to do this. So like, even though there's a main quest of going here, like you want to go around and like you want to build up your character to be that badass at the end. So it's a lot of fun that way. So I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm gonna probably go back and play it more. I'm not done with it. I could see, everything they've done leading up to this game, and then they just took it so much further. And the fact that the people of that island are so proud of the game and how well they were represented, just really puts that game on another level.
Great. It sounds like you really enjoyed it. Great final thoughts. My final thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima is much similar to yours. It's a beautiful world, one of the most beautiful worlds ever created. It just makes Japan look like paradise. It really does. There's so much to explore, so much to do, so much to unlock, so much to level up. It really keeps you going. It keeps you addicted. You're not hurried about. You're not feeling rushed to finish the story. One of the things I like about it is after you complete the story, you can go back and replay some of the story scenarios if you want, the major ones.
And resources never feel like ultra limited like some games, so that like, yeah, shoot those arrows, throw those chimes, do this, use your things that you have. You'll pick up more. You don't have to worry. You don't ever feel like you're resource scarce, which is so you actually get to have a lot of fun with all the toys and use them as often as you want.
And another thing is about the toys is or the stuff he's got is you got to use what you have, right? Like I've been in situations where I'm out of arrows, so I'm just using poison darts. Yeah, it's a great game. You always find what you're looking for out there in the world. There's a lot of supplies, but for some reason I always need more supplies after doing upgrades and things like that. There's wildflowers you collect to do vanity gear. There's like silk and leather.
Yeah, your bags never get full. That's so nice.
Yeah, your bags never get full. You're never over encumbered. That's great. The fast travel's great on the PS5. It's just like lightning fast.
Oh, I know. It's like there's zero load. It's just boom. It's like, okay, this is the PS5 version. Obviously, this is because it just dropped me in the other side of the map, and it just all it did is like there was no loading. It just went. The loading was invisible. Very invisible.
In all honesty, I think this is one of the best games that like PlayStation as a whole has ever produced. I mean, I really do think that. If I was I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10 if I was reviewing it. It's just really hits every mark, especially for the first entry in a series. It's just really amazing. The graphics are great, the controls are great, the combat's great, the talents are great, the charms, how you build your character, the options of gameplay, the options of how you can take things out, the choices the character has, and the story don't really seem to hinder you at all. So you're able to make the choice you want for that story scenario or that side quest. So it's a really great game. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna platinum it. I'm really close. I'm maybe like 5 trophies away from platinuming, but I'm at the point now where I gotta like look at guides and go here to get all these and things and everything. So I'm not sure about that. So Brian, what are you up to next week?
Well, next week, that's a good question. Well, I been writing a few more things on my website, and just about to publish a few articles. I've been writing about some directors I've been watching, and so that'll be interesting about John Cassavetes and Robert Altman and Federico Fellini. So I've been watching their movies, and it's been slowly over the last like the beginning of the year or so. So I've just been writing those out. So you'll see some of that. I've been streaming a lot on Twitch, so a lot of the games I mentioned this week, a lot of those were on stream. So if you go to Nostalgia, you'll check that out. And but yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to, and I'm gonna be playing more games.
Yeah, this week I'm just gonna. I really don't have a game that I'm playing right now. I finished most of the ones that I was on. Like Valkyrie Chronicles, I finished. Alan Wake, I finished. So I'm looking at my backlog and seeing what I'm gonna play and try and target something this week, or just keep bouncing around. Maybe a little bit more NBA 2K5. While that Neo demo was out, I'm gonna play it because I'm really enjoying it until I beat it. I think I'm on the last part of it. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing this week. So where can people find you online, Brian?
Yeah, thanks for asking there. Yeah, Brian. People can find me online at Nostalgic Pixel on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as, like I said, on Twitch at Instagram TV, or not Instagram TV, at Nostalgic Pixel TV, and on my website, nostalgicpixel.com, where I'll be writing about movies and stuff and games.
You can find me on Trywin Brian on X. We'd like to thank you for listening to this show. If you liked it, please give us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Patreon at the Legendary Backlog. It's free and will give you access to all our sites. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.